Hi, I'm Julie, and we're making Autry collection inspired crochet that you can use at home. Our project this time is a market bag that uses a star motif, as seen in many objects across the Autry Museum's collection, from a star-shaped boot spur to the motif of baskets and more. You can find these objects and more on the Autry's website by searching for stars or boot spurs on the collections online. I'll demonstrate how to crochet the square motif, paying homage to the Autry's starry objects, and then I'll show you how to join them together to make a market bag. For this project, I'm using 100% cotton worsted weight yarn in 1, 2, or more colors. I'm also using a G or 4mm crochet hook, scissors, and a tapestry needle. In this project, we're going to make an 8-pointed star and then create a square around the star. The project involves working in the round, which means we start in the middle of the star and work around it. And we go one round at a time. The first 3 rounds create the star, and the last 3 rounds make the square around it. At the end of each round, we connect it to the beginning of that round and then move to the next one. When working in the round like we are here, the first thing we need to do is create a center ring where we'll place all of the stitches from the first round. To make the center ring, what I like to do is use a loose slip knot, although there are several other ways to create the center ring and other names for it. To make a slip knot, you cross the tail end of the yarn over the yarn ball side to make a loop like that, and then you pick up the yarn from the yarn ball side, place it in the middle of that loop, and draw it through. For a regular slip knot, you'd keep on tugging on this until this is tight. But we need this open because it's going to serve as our center ring, and this is our active loop. So we'll take our crochet hook and insert the hook into the active loop. Pulling on the tail, you can see would shrink that center ring, but pulling on the yarn ball end of the yarn will shrink the active loop, and that's what we want to do, is shrink the active loop first. And then we need to make a chain stitch to secure that active loop. So to chain, you're going to yarn over your hook and draw that through the active loop. So now you have a new active loop. And we're ready to begin our round 1. We'll need 2 more chain stitches. So these 3 chain stitches, actually, the 2 I just made and the 1 to secure the loop, are all count together as the first double crochet stitch. And in round 1, we're going to be making 11 more double crochet stitches. So to do that, we'll yarn over the hook, insert the hook into the center ring, and draw up a loop by yarning over and then grabbing that yarn and pulling it through the center ring again. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over the hook and draw through 2 of those loops. We have 2 remaining. Yarn over the hook and draw through the remaining 2 loops. So that was our double crochet stitch. So now we have the chain 3, which counts as the first one, and this double crochet stitch, which is the second. I'm going to show it to you again. Yarn over, insert the hook into the center ring, yarn over, draw up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, draw through 2 of the loops, yarn over, draw through 2 of the loops. So now we have 3, and so you need to make 9 more double crochet stitches in this round. So I have made the 12 double crochet stitches here, so you can see. But to complete the round, we need to make a slip stitch. So to do that, you're going to use the top chain of your original chain 3. So here it is, and you're going to insert the hook into that top chain. You yarn over and draw that yarn back through the top chain. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. Draw the top loop through the bottom loop. So that's your slip stitch. And now you see that the last stitch is secured to the first stitch you made of the round. And we'll move on to round 2. For round 2, we start with chain 3, and that counts again as the first double crochet. For this row, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each stitch around, and because we've already made this chain, 3 chain that counts as a double crochet, all we need to do is add 1 more double crochet. So in the first stitch, yarn over, insert the hook, and draw up a loop. So you'll have 3 loops on your hook and complete your double crochet. And then you'll move to the next stitch and place 2 double crochets in there. And so on. Once you've worked 2 double crochets in each stitch around, you'll have 24 in total, including that original chain 3. And then again, like the last round, we're going to make a slip stitch in the top chain of that original chain 3 by drawing the yarn through and then the top loop through the bottom loop. So you've completed round 2 and on to round 3. Now for round 3, this is where we're going to make the 8 points of the 8-pointed star. So to start that, we'll chain 2, and then in the next stitch, we are going to place a treble crochet. So yarn over twice, insert the hook, and yarn over, draw up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and draw through 2, yarn over and draw through 2, and then stop. Typically, when you make a treble crochet, you yarn over and draw through the last 2, but we're actually going to make this into a cluster. So we're going to start a double crochet in the next stitch. So yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, and draw up a loop. You'll have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over and draw through 2, and stop for a moment. You'll see you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and draw through all the remaining loops. So that clustered these 3 stitches together, including that original chain 2. And now we're going to chain 5. And we're going to work on another cluster, but this time it's going to be a 3-stitch cluster. So we start off with a double crochet, yarn over, insert the hook into the next stitch, and draw up a loop. And we'll have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, draw through 2, and stop. We're going to yarn over twice for the treble crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to insert the hook and draw up a loop. 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, 3 loops remaining, and another double in the last stitch. So yarn over, insert the hook in the next stitch, draw up a loop. We have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, draw through 2. We have 4 loops remaining, yarn over, and draw through all 4 loops. So I'm going to show you that one more time. It's rather complex. But before you see that, let's chain 5 to get to the next 3 stitches we're going to work in. So down to the next stitch that's unworked, yarn over once. This is for the double crochet. Insert the hook and draw up a loop. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, draw through 2. And now for the treble in the next stitch, we're going to yarn over twice, insert the hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. We have 3 loops remaining. And for the double in the last of the 3 stitches, yarn over, insert the hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. You have 4 loops remaining, yarn over, draw through all 4 loops. So you're going to do that again where you chain 5 and then work another one of those 3 stitch clusters. Double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet. And once you've done that, you will slip stitch to the second chain of the original chain 2, and then you'll have this nice star motif, which you can use for different things, but what's nice is these little chains that are in between help us give us a space in which we can add a frame or some other kind of border. So because we're making this into a square, I will show you how to work round 4 next. Before I show you how to work round 4 though, I want to show you how to change the color of your square so that the star is distinct from the border. So if you're not changing the color, what you'll do after slip stitching to the top chain of that original chain 2 is then slip stitch to the first chain space. Do you see this triangle? Insert the hook, draw up a loop, and draw the top loop through the bottom loop, and that's where you will begin your round 4. If you do want to change colors, you have your star motif. You've slip stitched to the top chain of that chain 2. Now you're going to cut the yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail, and draw the end through the active loop and tighten. And then you will choose your new color. Start with a slip knot. Insert the hook into one of these spaces, any of them, and draw the loop through to the front, leaving the knot on the back of the motif. Shrink it a little bit and start working your round 4, which begins with chain 3. After you've chained 3, you're going to place 5 more double crochet stitches in the same chain space. So yarn over, insert the hook, draw up a loop, 3 loops, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2, and keep going. And after you've worked this first side of the square, then you'll be moving to a corner. And a corner in this square, in round 4, is defined as 4 double crochet stitches. So we'll place 4 double crochet stitches, followed by a chain 2, followed by 4 more double crochet stitches. So in total, that's 8 double crochet stitches with 2 chain stitches in the middle. 1, 2, and 4 more in the same chain space. I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see that that really does make a corner. And we're going to make another side. So we alternate on this round between corners and sides. And the sides are 6 double crochet stitches. And the corners are all the same, which is 4 double crochet stitches, chain 2, 4 double crochet stitches. And the only side that's different is that original one where we start off with a chain 3. Once you've made your way around the square, you just need to slip stitch to the top chain of the initial chain 3 to complete this round, and then chain 3 up to round 4. So now in round 4, we're going to place a double crochet in the top of each double crochet across the side. And let's see, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus the chain. Double crochet stitches until I give you the next set of instructions in terms of how to work the corner on this round. And the corners are defined in the same way for both rounds 5 and round 6. So makes it a little easier. We don't have to learn a new approach for the final round. So we've double crocheted on the top of each double crochet from round 4. And now for the corner, we're going to place 2 double crochet stitches in this chain space. It's a chain 2 space. Then we're going to chain 2 and place 2 more double crochet stitches in the same space. We're going to work double crochet stitches all down this side on the top of every single double crochet stitch. So in total that'll be 14 stitches after you've completed the corner, that is. And after you've done those 14, you'll work the next corner. So the next corner, which will be 2 double crochet stitches, 2 chains, 2 double crochet stitches. You'll get your 14 double crochet stitches here, and then you'll work your next corner, again 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. You'll do 14 here, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet for the corner, and then work your final 4 double crochet stitches here and slip stitch to the top chain of this initial chain 3 and move on to round 6. So here we are now at the beginning of round 6, and to start we'll chain 3 as usual to start, which counts as your first double crochet stitch. After that, we're going to work a double crochet stitch in each of the next 11 stitches, which are these double crochet stitches from round 5. Now once you've completed all of these double crochet stitches, we're going to work the corner, and the corner on this round is defined the same way as it was in the last round, which is 2 double crochet stitches, 2 chains, 2 double crochet stitches, and all of those stitches are worked in the chain 2 space in the corner right here. So 2 double crochet stitches, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet stitches. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet stitch in the top of each double crochet stitch on the side. And that's a total of 18 double crochet stitches. Once we've completed these 18 double crochet stitches, we'll move to the next corner, and in the corner, again, it's 2 double crochet stitches, chain 2, 2 double crochet stitches, all in this chain 2 space in the corner. We'll work our 18 double crochet stitches on this side, our corner, 2 double crochet stitch, 2 chain, 2 double crochet stitch, 18 double crochet stitches, our corner, and then we'll work 1 double crochet stitch on the top of each of these stitches that from the previous row. So that's 6 more stitches. So 6 double crochet stitches, 1 on top of each one, and then we'll slip stitch to the top chain of the initial chain 3. Once you've fastened off on round 6, the square is complete. After the first square, then you'll make 12 more for the market bag pattern, so 13 are needed in total. Then the squares will be joined together with a zigzag chain. You'll want to lay out the squares first to be able to see how they will be joined, how the bag will be constructed. There's really just a front and back side to the bag, which are identical, but be sure that all your squares have their right side, or the front of the crochet stitches, facing outwards. In other words, towards you on the front side and away from you on the back side. For each side, you'll use 5 flat squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you'll have 3 folded ones, which are shared between the front of the bag and the back of the bag. So that's 1, 2, and 3. You can see these are just folded. There are many possible ways to join squares for a market bag. In this pattern, the squares are joined with a chain that zigzags back and forth from one square to the next one. I like this idea because it could suggest a rope that goes along nicely with the idea of boot spurs. Sometimes this may take some creativity on your part, like when you get to the corners, since zigzags are not always symmetrical. It's also more of an extemporaneous element in the bag, and hopefully you can have some fun with it. Before beginning, make sure that the squares are facing opposite directions. So the one in front is facing towards you. You can see these are the front of the crochet stitches. And the one behind is facing away from you, and this is the back side of the crochet stitches. So we hold the 2 squares together like this. Now we'll need some yarn to stitch the 2 squares together, and we'll make a slip knot. Using your hook, you're going to draw the slip knot up through the corner of the back square and then chain 2. At this point, you're going to insert the hook from the front to the back, but in the front square in the corner, and make a slip stitch. So now we've stitched the 2 corners together. Now we're going to chain 2 again, and moving to the back square again, we're going to insert the hook into the top of this first double crochet stitch here. So we're going to make a slip stitch by drawing up the yarn and pulling the top loop through the bottom loop. And now we'll start chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. And coming back to the front square, we're going to skip 2 stitches. 1, 2, that's 2 double crochet stitches from the previous round. And we're going to slip stitch in that 3rd stitch there. So this is the pattern we're going to follow for most of the side. We're going to chain 3, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch after skipping 2 double crochets in the back square. That's 1, 2, 3, back to the front square, skipping 2, slip stitch. And 1, 2, 3, skipping 2 in the back square, and slip stitch. And continue on in this manner, connecting the 2 sides of 2 separate squares. So as you can see, we've zigzagged down most of the side. And now we're going to work on the corner here. We have just 3 double crochet stitches left. So we're going to skip 2 of them. And well, we've chained 3. And we're going to slip stitch to the last double crochet there, and then we're going to chain 2, slip stitch to that corner chain space, chain 2, and slip stitch to this back square corner chain space. And we're actually going to move to the right here. So to do that, because when we crochet from right to left, we need to flip this. And because this is the back side of the crochet, our next square has to be facing in the opposite direction. So line that up with the right side facing. And now chain 2, and you're going to slip stitch to the corner of the back square. And you're going to chain 2 and slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet in the front square. Now back to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. You'll skip 1, 2 of these double crochet stitches and slip stitch in the next one, and then chain 3, zigzagging back to the front square. You're skipping 1, 2, and slip stitching in the next double crochet stitch. Now 1, 2, 3, skipping the next 2 double crochets in the back square, slip stitch, and you're going to zigzag back and forth again until you get to the end of this square. So you can see we've worked along this side and we're almost at the corner again. We have our chain 3. We're going to skip 1, 2, and slip stitch in this front double crochet stitch, and then chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch in the corner, chain of the back, chain 2, and slip stitch in the corner of the front. And we just take a look and see where we are. So we'll want to move along this side next. So we need to have one more square. And let's see, we're on the back side of the square. So we're going to make sure that this one is facing the opposite direction. And we'll chain 2 in the front square, and then slip stitch to the corner of the back square. And then we'll chain 2 from the back and slip stitch in that first double crochet stitch of the front square. And now chain 3 and skip 2 in the back square, 1, 2, and in the third stitch we're going to slip stitch. Now chain 3, skip 2 in the front square, and slip stitch in the next double crochet. Now chain 3, and move all the way down the side again as usual. So you can see that I've zigzagged my way all the way around this square, and I've actually cut the yarn and fastened off so that this is surrounded on all 4 sides by other squares. So this actually is going to be the base of the bag, and you can see that this is the one that's folded in half. These will be seamed here, and then we'll have a square up here that we can attach with zigzags in the same way. So we'll do the zigzags around this square, and then we'll have our half squares over here, and you'll be able to do the zigzags on the front and the back side and back on the front again, and the zigzags over here too. In between attaching each square, you may want to set it up again just to make sure that you're on track and attaching them in a way that will make the product that you're looking for. So now we've joined all of the squares together. You can see here are the flat squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then the folded ones, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to add a couple rows to the top of the bag just before we'll be adding the handles. So I'm using a similar color and starting with a slip knot, and then I'm going to join to one of these corners. So draw the loop through, leaving the knot on the inside of your bag, and chain 1. Now 2 single crochets here in this corner space, and then 1 single crochet in each stitch along the side until you get to the sort of divot here. Continue working your way around the top edge of your bag so that in each corner you've placed 2 single crochet stitches and a single crochet stitch in each stitch otherwise, with the exception of this divot in which we've placed 3 single crochet together over the 3 corners. And so here we are in the last stitch, and we just want to slip stitch to the first single crochet stitch that we made on this edge. Draw the top loop through the bottom loop, and now we're going to make one more round of the single crochet. So chain 1 and then single crochet on top of the stitch below it, and single crochet all the way around. So 1 single crochet stitch in each of the stitches around this time. When you get to this sort of divot on the top edge of the bag, then you'll work a single crochet 3 together. To do that, we're going to join the corner from this square, the corner from this square, and the corner from this square. Let's see, right here. So you'll insert your hook into the first corner space and draw up a loop. Now you're going to insert your hook into the second corner space and draw up a loop. We're doing that one actually over the zigzag join. And now we'll insert the hook into that third corner space and draw up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, and draw through all 4 loops. Okay, so now we're going to continue to work single crochet stitches in each of the double crochet stitches around. So on this round, we single crocheted 1 in each stitch around, even the corners and the divots this time. And then when you get to the end, you will make a slip stitch in the top of the first single crochet stitch that you worked. And now we'll start on the handles. So the first thing to do when you're making the handles is to make 80 chain stitches. And just start from where you are, the top of one of the corners there. So once you've worked your 80 chain stitches, then we're going to slip stitch to the top of the corner that's on the same side as the other corner where you started. So we'll slip stitch to that first stitch there, and slip stitch to the one next to it as well. Then we're going to turn the whole piece around, and we're going to work our way back along the chain with single crochet stitches. I'm going to move my yarn to the back so it's not in the way. So skipping this is a little tricky right here, but we're going to skip the last 2 slip stitches that we made, and work in the back ridge of the chain and make a single crochet. So here's our next single crochet in here. And we'll continue on all the way down the chain. So once you've worked single crochet stitches the length of the handle, just ensure that it's not twisted before you make your last stitches and then slip stitch into the top of that corner. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so that looks good. What I'm going to do is fasten off. So you cut your yarn and draw it through the loop. Now we need to make our other handle. So we turn our bag around and we're going to then connect here to the top of one of the corners on the other side. So make a slip knot with your yarn and draw the loop through one of those corners, or the corner to the right side, and then start making your chains. You need 80 chains on this side as well. You'll do the same thing as you did on the other side, where you slip stitch twice to the other corner once you're done making the chains, and then work your way back with single crochet stitches in each stitch, in each chain stitch. Finally, slip stitching to the top of that first corner of this handle. So once you've single crocheted all the way back for the second strap, then you slip stitch and fasten off. And the last step now is simply to sew in your ends. So to do this, you want to thread a tapestry needle with all of the tails from this project. All of the tails or yarn ends from this project. You'll see there's a knot here. I'm going to insert the needle under several loops, and I want to get to a good place where I can go under lots of loops at the same time. So I'm going to go over here, go under a few loops this way, then I skip a loop, skip this loop, and I'm going to insert the needle going back in the opposite direction, because we want to lock this in place so it does not come undone at any point. And we do it one more time, so 3 times back and forth. You'll cut your end and do the same with all the other tail ends. And you'll be all done with your market bag. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed making your Autry Museum inspired market bag and get good use of it. See you next time.
The Autry Museum of the American West thanks our members and supporters.